Today we are discussing introduction to project management, IT project management, but I tried to take a little drift, a little from the IT project management, because that is our focus in this training. Most of the tools we'll be using, most of the learnings we'll be getting, they are all geared towards getting the skills for IT project management. I try to go a little bit out of the IT so that we can fit into a wider scope in terms of when we want to look at other fields or jobs opportunity. For instance, you want to work in the NHS, maybe in the civil service, and they are requiring some skills that are not particularly in the IT, maybe in the Prince 2 methodology. We try to cover all of them so that at the end of the day, we'll stand a better place when we go out there in managing projects. So we'll just be looking at introduction to IT project management, but we'll take a broad scope as we go along. Let's start from the basics, and we'll be talking about what is a project before we talk about project management. So project is something that is temporary for a purpose. Temporary for a purpose. So it is not is different from normal operations in the company or in the house or in the organization. This is different. It's a temporary endeavor undertaken to create a unique product. It could be a service, it could be a result. So temporary, that means it is time bound. Now creating, undertaking is an endeavor. That means a team, a group of people, an organization, the project team will have to come together to create a business case, something that is needed. It could be a service, it could be a product, it could be anything. Now, what is project management? It is now the application of knowledge, skills, techniques to execute, to plan, to control, so as to achieve the required result of that endeavor, of that project. That is project management. And I believe that at many points in time, we have been able to manage projects, whether formally or informally, time bound, with a cost, and with a definite specific result. What are the benefits? Is to ensure that the stakeholders, the people who are producing these services for or product for, they are satisfied with the cost that they have budgeted, and everybody is happy. What are the key components in project management? It is to plan, it is to act, it is to manage resources, it is to do risk management, as well as communicate. Speak to the people, you listen to them, and they listen to you. Okay, the next, what I'll just quickly highlight for us here the characteristics of a project. Number one, change. A project is executed to bring about a change. Number two characteristics is that it is temporal. It is time bound. It could be 1 month, it could be 1 year, it could be 3 years. It is time bound. It is cross-functional, so it will bring different people from different fields, different background and understanding together. Another thing we need to know about projects is that no two projects are the same. So you can be building a house in street A and building that same house, that same kind of structure in street B. There are two different structures, two different projects because of uncertainty. A lot of things are different. Maybe the soil composition is not the same. The workers you'll be using to work, they are not the same. The expectation of the stakeholders are not the same. Same building, two different locations, two different projects. So projects are unique and has a lot of uncertainties. We'll quickly go to talk about what are the key principles in managing a project. Number one is to have a clear goal and objectives. Clear goals and objectives. And that is defined in the business case. We'll talk about the business case towards the end, and then we'll talk more about it. Project scope, project initiation documents. So all of these should define the project. What is our goal in this project? What do we want to achieve? And how are we going to achieve it? What is going to be the cost? What is the time? All of these goals and objectives should be clear. If they are not clear, we are heading for failure already. So for a project to be successful, we must ensure that our goals and objectives are clear and they are defined in the business case, in the project scope, as well as the project documents. Another key principle for success in project management is effective communication. And that can be done through collaboration, and we'll be learning more as we go along in the training. We'll also, another is managing stakeholders' expectation. We have another section basically for stakeholders management and requirement gathering. And we'll be talking more about stakeholders there. So we're not going to talk much about stakeholders, but let's know that stakeholders is anyone that has an interest in the project is a stakeholder, and we'll be able to discuss that further. Another thing that is important in is the planning of the project. We need to plan. You plan at the beginning, you plan during the work process and flow, you plan as you are coming to an end. Till the end of the project, you keep planning, keep looking at the project, keep tweaking things until the end of the project. And there are a lot of plans in the project. We have communication plan, we have our risk plan, we have the project plan, a lot of planning, and we need to have proper planning to be able to execute our project successfully. Now, there are generally the stages of project management. It starts from the initiation stage, goes to the planning and design stage. Then we have the executing monitoring and control stage before the closing. If you can see from the arrows here, the project, as soon as we finish the planning and design and we go to executing of the project, we execute, we monitor, we control, we go back to plan, execute, monitor, and control. This cycle continues as we control the project, as we monitor the project, as we work the project till the project is closed. Now, what's the initiation phase? The initiation phase is the start of the project. It's just an initiative. Something has happened. We need to do this. The care home has been struggling with booking of their staff to get shifts. Staffs have been calling the help desk, calling this number. How do we achieve this? Now, somebody now said, we can do something different. Let's just bring an app. An idea has initiated the project. And that begins to evolve. Discussions begin to come. What do we want to have? And the rest of this, that leads to the formation of the business case. And this project sponsor said, no, we need to do something different. And they tick up the boss and said, with this document, we want to do something. As time goes on, we'll now begin to have different documents to say, okay, this is what we want to have. This is the scope of the project. This is what we are going to deliver. This is the cost. We have looked at different studies and it is achievable, it is doable. After that, we'll now go to the planning. Don't forget, proper planning prevents what? Thank you. So if we must get it right, we must plan very well. And the planning, we're going to plan a lot. We'll look at the outline, the people who are going to, the resources. Resources have to do with both people and money and materials. We'll look at everything. The dependencies, the timeline, the risk. We plan everything. All of these put together will be in our planning. You don't be in an hurry when you are planning. You take your time to plan and come with your results. After the planning, we now go to the execution. Those plans, we now need to put them to action. So we start doing those things. And in the process, the project manager begins to manage the project, control the project, look at the quality. What are our expectations? What are our milestones? What are the things we need to achieve? Monitor the project, control to be sure that the quality we want, we expect. We have another section for requirement gathering. We'll talk about quality at that time and how we control that time. So we'll not talk much about that in this section. All of this is the work of the project manager. And when things go in line, the project is being successful. But when things doesn't go in line and there is a deviation, the project manager reports back to the sponsor, or in quote, reports back to the board. There is a board. This is my problems. These are the deviations. These are what I was expecting, and they will tell you what to do next. Then after that is the closing of the project. Then you will hand over that project. Now, for instance, we're having want to do this website for the care, and we have finished the website. We hand it over to the care home to be running. Now, when they start running it, after a while, everything is okay. It becomes business as usual, BAU. It's no longer a project. It now becomes business as usual, something that is concurrent, something that is running. Now it has now been handed over for continuation. Things we must guide against. Now, in planning the project, we said we must define our scope. So our scope is that we want to achieve this, we want to achieve this, we want to achieve this, and we sign it off that these are the things we want to achieve in this project. And as the project keeps coming or is progressing, there are some other things that starts coming up. Let us add this to the project. Let us add this to the project. And you as a project manager, if you allow those things to be added, the implication is that the cost will increase, the time of delivery will be extended, and that is a sign of failure already. So we will ensure that we don't allow anything outside the scope of the project to creep in. So anything outside the project scope is what we call the project, it's what we call the scope creep. So if they ask you what scope creep is, any function, anything that is outside the scope of the project. So we avoid scope creep. Now, if they want to add anything, there's what they call change management. And this is a good features that we can add. You can't just add it. You will go back to the board, go back to the sponsor and say, this is our scope, but there is an additional functionality. As a project manager or the project controller or as the project support officer there, you will say, this is the advantage if we can add it to this service. And you will also tell, also add in your proposal the cost, additional cost for adding this, as well as the time implication as well. If your sponsor say, okay, add it to the project, so the budget has changed, the timeline has changed, now it's no longer scope creep, it's now an additional function in the project. Are we still together?
Yes.
Yes.
Are we clear? Because we'll come to a practical session very soon, but I just want us to get the basics as we begin to and talk about it practically. Another problem is communication issue. If you can't pass your message clear, direct, it causes failure in projects. And that is why we have the communication plan. We need to define how we communicate and how we speak to the people. Another thing is resource control. How do we control the resource? And resource, I said, includes persons, includes time, include money. So if, for instance, this budget, they have budgeted this amount of money, and they said they are going to release funds in parts, and the first chunk of the first chunk of funds has been released, and you need the second chunk of funds to be released to continue, and the funds are not there, it will impact the project. Or if the resources, the human resources are not there, it will impact the project. Or if you say you are going to ship an item and you have estimated that this item will be around in the next 1 month, and that item comes in 4 months' time, it will impact the project. So resources have a lot of effect on our project. Another thing is unclear objectives and requirements. That's what we have talked about, clear objectives. Another thing is inadequate monitoring and control. As the project manager, you are in charge of the project not to do it, but to monitor who is handling this. So you know Mr. A is the one handling this part, Mr. B is handling this part, Mr. C is handling this part. You are to monitor their progress, track their performance, and say, how far have you gone? You are supposed to finish this task and by this time, how far have you gone? You write, you have regular meetings, you give the situation report, you track everything, and you report as at when due. The opposite of this will give us success in the project. Now let's progress, because we'll have about 20 minutes to do some practical work. What's the responsibility of the project manager? We have said to plan, we have said to allocate resources, risk management is important. I will also want to say here that there are some positions that they advertise for risk managers. Risk managers. So there can be a project, there will be a risk manager. As a project manager, you consult with the risk manager to say these are the issues, these are the risks. So risk management is an integral part of project management, and we need to know it, and it's part of questions that come during interviews about managing risk in project. Also, effective communication, we said it already. We need to be clear, concise, regular updates, and active listening. That's what characterizes effective communication. Now, this is a triangle for definition of a successful project. Delivered on time, the quality, the requirements is acceptable by the stakeholders, and it is delivered within cost. They said define what is a successful project. A successful project is a project that has been delivered on time, delivered within the time limit or the time frame, with the desired expected quality or requirement or expectation at the given cost or the range of cost. So when we have this, we just say that this is the success factor of a project: time, quality, and cost. Very important for delivering projects. What are the documents we need to be handy with? We need to know as project managers or project support officers or managers. We have the project charter or the business case. Now, this is what actually authorizes that we want to start a project. Somebody has initiated an idea. We need this app in the care home. That's an idea. Then a project charter or a business case is made that highlights the objectives of the project, what they want to achieve, and that gives the authority that we need this project to be done. After the business case has been made, then who will execute this will not look for the project manager, who will now begin to bring out the project initiation document, go into requirement gathering, ask questions, look at other projects, look at who can deliver this solution, who is the supplier, who is the vendor that we need to contact, who are the resources we need to put together to achieve this. All of this is organized, the time frame, the cost, the communication, and organize it inside the project initiation document. Then we'll go into the breakdown of the work, how it is going to be broken down. Then we'll now begin to do resource allocation plan. This is how we're going to distribute the resources of this project. Risk management, we cannot overemphasize risk management. We need to identify risk of the project, assess their impact, their likelihood, and what will be the mitigations for the risk. That's our risk management plan. Then we also have the communication plan. Now, the communication plan is very, very important. We'll talk about it more when we get into the stakeholders engagement, another section about the communication plan. And it has to do with the different channels of how we communicate to the different people. Also, the tools we use are also part of the communication plan. Are we using Teams for our video collaboration, or Slack? Are we using GitHub? Are we using Jira? Are we using Confluence? Are we using SharePoint? What are we using? All of these are included in the communication plan. We also have the change management plan. Change management plan said that if the project scope is going to be changed for good and we need to do something better that will improve, there should be a plan, a process that we're going to follow for the change management plan. Then we have the quality plan, the requirement that this is the requirement that we want to achieve, and we get it done. We have the issue log, the decision log. Actually, we have what we call the RAID log, ROAID, that is the risk, action, issues, and dependency log. This log must be handy for the project manager or the project support officer. Then lesson learned. As the project is going, you're going to learn a lot of lessons. You document those lessons for future references. Then there is the status report. You must give your report. For some organization, it's going to be weekly. Some organization is going to be bi-weekly. Some organization is monthly. Status report, the project status report, and we now have the project closure report. Am I too fast? I need your response.
Okay.
Huh?
I think it's okay.
All right. Okay. I want us to rephrase some of those things back as we get into these practical sessions. Now, as a project manager, this is our project. Can we still remember this slide?
Yeah.
In our last Thursday's session, this slide was shown to us about an automated staff shift allocation mobile app for Naviscare. Now, what we have here is a business case. Naviscare has seen the need for this project. And I said, no, let's put up something together. We need this app for our organization. And we have the executive summary. We have the overview, which is the objective, the benefits, then the features that this app will contain. There are some other things that are not here. So look at these 3 items that are here: executive summary, project overview, which has the objective, the benefits, and the key features. From this, now, look at the business case. A business case is supposed to have the reason, the options, the benefits, the costs, the timelines, and the risk. From this business case, what is missing?
Is it the cost and risk?
Cost, thank you. Risk, time scale, thank you very much. So for a business case, so you might be drafted to join a team to say, with your knowledge, please join this team. Let's get out a business case for this course. So you must ensure that these ones should be the limits that we must have in the business case. Now, after that has been done, we'll now progress to the project initiation document. And some of the things in the business case will be blown up, will be expanded in the project initiation document. In the business case, it's just like an executive summary. In the project initiation document, is the document like a contract between the project manager and the supplier, or the project manager and the organization. And we'll list out everything that we need. So we're going to define the context of the project. What is the background? The background is that we have been working without doing this job manually, and we have been struggling, but there is a need now to shift into automating some of these processes. And you begin to define your parameters. You now highlight your scope of the project. Now, from this executive summary, can we begin to highlight our scope of the project? What are the scope of this project? If you look at it, can somebody look at it and tell me the scope of this project? No comment?
I think the scope is like the objective, like to.
So, okay, thank you very much. But the key features are the scope.
Okay.
Yeah.
User authentication, shift
Choose
availability, visibility,
booking
booking system, notifications,
availability management.
reporting. This is the scope of this project. Now, there are other things we can add. Can we suggest one or two other things we can add?
Automation.
Eh?
We can add the timeline for the cost.
No. It tells for the scope, Other features. There are some other features we can add.
Should not allow multiple booking. Should not allow two people book two different shifts at the same time.
Okay. Now,
That's a profile.
what? Come again?
Like the personal profile.
Personal portal. Okay. Profile. Okay.
Security.
So we can add another features here now. Another features now.
Is it documentation?
Staff profiles. Are you with me? We can add another bullet point here, staff profiles, that all the staff working in Naviscare, their faces and their pictures also might be there. Staff profile. That's another key features that can be added. But it is not here. If in course of the project you want to add it, it is scope creep. It is out of this project scope. You don't go against it, even though you think it is good. Oh, it is a fine feature to add. We call it gold plating. It is not expected. You keep to the scope of the project. Okay? Now, all of these are defined in the project initiation document. Also, we also have what are the metrics we need to achieve. What are the benefits at the end? After creating this app, we expect to have reduced time of physical call to the office or walking to the office to look for shifts. We'll highlight those metrics there. Inside the project planner, project initiation document, we also have our what we call the project team. You highlight the names of the project team, the key stakeholders you are going to be dealing with. All of them are included in the project initiation document. Now let's go to the RAID log. I said RAID, arrow stands for what? Arrow stands for what? Are we there? RAID log, arrow stands for risk. Did we remember that? Arrow stands for risk. A stands for assumption or actions. I stands for issue. D stands for dependencies. But let's quickly talk about the risk in the RAID log. For every project, there will be a risk. What is a risk? A risk is anything, whether positively or negatively, that can affect the outcome of the project. Now, looking at our project, Naviscare project. Can we identify any risks to this project? So I'm not querying your mind as risk managers. Identify any risks to this project.
Hacking
What?
of somebody stealing password or breach of data breach.
Okay. Data breach is a risk. Please keep that somewhere. We'll talk about data breach, but I think from another perspective. So in executing this project, data breach, what else can we pick as a risk to this project? I need another one before we progress. Think. A lot of risks.
Well, maybe staffs can book several shifts. I don't know if that will be a risk.
Let's not look at the users now. Let's not look at the users. Let's look at the implementation of this project. Staffs have not started using the project, the app yet. We are we are trying to build this project. What is the risk for us not achieving? Yes. So what is the risk? What other risk?
Changing requirements.
What?
Changing requirements.
Changing requirements. Okay, so requirements changing. Okay, that's number 2. Risk we have identified. We have identified data breach, requirement change. One more.
Technical issues.
Technical issues. Okay, let's deal with those 3 risks. I think I'm having risk managers already here. So very soon, you begin to develop your instinct of identifying risks and become the risk manager. So let's look at the risks, our risk register, because every risk will get a risk register, a risk log. So ID, that's the risk number. The risk, we have just identified a risk. So we mentioned the risks. We just mentioned 3 risks. With data breach, which other one again? IT glitch. What again?
Change management.
Change in requirements.
Like change, yes.
Thank you very much. Now we describe those risks that is there. Now the next column there is the severity of the risk. Is the severity of the risk. Is the risk a high risk or a low risk? Is it acceptable? Is it tolerable? Is it undesirable? Is it intolerable? So that tells you there are some risks that is accepted. For instance, one risk could be that a key staff or a key resource player falls sick and is not available to do his duty. Is that a risk?
Yeah.
That is a risk. It is allowable. So there are some risks that are allowable, but we highlight all the risk. Now we now begin to ask ourselves. That's why we have the score by the side here of the likelihood and the impact. And we'll now begin to say it is low, it is high, it is moderate, it is extreme. So we'll not classify the risk. Okay, this risk is acceptable or it is tolerable. What is the likelihood of its occurrence? We put it there. We also put the risk level, how low or high it is. We have the risk owner or the department. Where is this risk residing? Is this risk? So if the risk is coming from budget, release of funds, it will reside in the finance department. We'll know the person that is the owner of that risk. Then we'll now come to the mitigation. How do we mitigate it? Now, so let's go back to our 3 risks. The first one is data breach. How do we mitigate data breach? So first of all is, how is there a risk in data breach? in the implementation or in designing the project, we're not talking about people logging in now, but we want to implement this project. There could be data breach. How could there be data breach? Because if we are dealing with external suppliers, at a point in time, we'll begin to give them access to database that have access to people's personal details. And if they expose it somewhere, it could be a data breach. So how do we mitigate this kind of risk? Any idea? Yes, risk managers.
I would say non-disclosure agreements with third-party companies.
Thank you very much. We sign an agreement. We train the people. We allow them to read our data breach policy, and they will agree to it, sign to it, so that in case they go outside of it. So with that mitigation in place, the severity, if it was undesirable, it now becomes acceptable. It is now low. It is now reduced. Are we clear so far with the concept of risk management?
Yeah.
Yes.
Huh? Okay,
Yes,
let's pick another risk again. Technical glitch. Technical, maybe as we are doing the project, there is server failure, there is internet breakdown, and for days we are not having the project going as we are supposed to go. We also determine the severity, determine the risk level. What will be the mitigation?
Use reliable server like AWS.
Okay. Trusted servers. And even when we're using trusted servers or trusted services, we also look for an alternative.
Yes, and backup.
Yes, a backup. Yes, a backup plan.
Backup.
Yes, you can have a risk that is saying that if our physical structure where we are putting the database maybe in the system gets spoiled or pack up or is stolen or is burnt down, that is a risk. What is the mitigation? We say things that all our data will be backed up in the cloud. That is the mitigation. So that is being reduced. So in project management, you will look at the risk holistically and say this will be the mitigation. That is what we do in the terms of risk analysis or risk management in project management. So you will first of all identify the risk, you analyze the risk. After analyzing the risks, you look at the severity of the risks. You are the impact of that risk. Is it a high risk? Is it a low risk? How severe it is? Then you now bring your mitigation plan. That is risk management. Now, apart from risk, we take the next one. Is RAID log, I said, ROAID, but I like to pick issues. Risk and issues are very similar. The difference between risk and issue is this. If you identify a risk, you identify it before the execution of the project or during, as the project is going on, you sense something, so it is an ongoing project. You do it before the project, you do it during the project. As the project is ongoing, you keep on analyzing your risk and keep adding your risks, bringing your mitigation. If anyone is close, you close it down. If anyone is passed, it cannot happen again, you say that one is passed. But in case any risks manifest and there is technical glitch, it is no longer a risk. It now becomes an issue. Is that concept clear?
No, please come again.
Okay, we identify one of the risks. is that of technical glitch, maybe internet failure. So one of the risks of the project is internet failure. And we are putting our mitigation in place and everything in place, and we are monitoring it. Now the project has started. As the project has started, we now have internet failure. Having internet failure at this point in the project is no longer a risk, it is now an issue.
Okay.
Is that clear? So a risk that manifests into a problem in the project is now an issue. So we now begin to record it now as an issue log in the issue log. This one has now manifested. This is the problem we have encountered. Maybe you did not even identify it during the project in your risk management or risk analysis. But if anything crops up that slows the project, that stops the project, that hinders the project, it becomes an issue. So you log it. And when you log the project, the issue, you name the issue, describe the issue, you talk about the priority of the issue. You assign the issue. You also have who are we assigning the issue to? No, so for instance, let's come here, for instance, back to our project. The first one is user authentication. User authentication. Now, what is user authentication? That means users should be able to sign in into the app. Is that not so? Are we together?
Yes.
Only one person answering. Where
Yes.
are others? Okay. Now,
Yeah.
okay. Now we want to test it. We now say, Mr. A, sign in into the app. And the person cannot sign in to the app. Is blocked at that point. Is that issue a high priority or a low priority?
High priority.
High.
Huh?
High.
High. Why do you say it's high?
Because without them being able to sign in, then they can't even use the app at all.
Thank you very much. They cannot. That is a gateway. So every other thing will not work if they don't enter. So that is a high priority. So we now begin to assign resources, allocate manpower, and say, look, this is of a high priority. There are some that will be low priority. You say, this one, the password is supposed to be 15 words. But we have discovered that if you use 10 characters for your password, it still goes. Okay, the password is still there, but it is 10 characters. So is that a low priority or a high priority?
A low priority.
It's a low priority. Thank you very much. So that is the sense in trying to prioritize the issues as they go along in the project. These are practical things. And as the project manager, you'll be able to say, is this issue a showstopper? Will it stop the project? So when if you can stop the project, it is now a high priority. But if not, it is a low priority. Now, action log. Action log are just the logs that tells us as the project is going on, we are having our meetings, and we have said we are going to be having delivery of 10 iPads or 10 computers or laptop by next week Monday. And the laptop is going to be delivered by so and so person. This is the person coordinating it. Now, those are things that has been said. They are actions. So you note them down. The dates, you write the date. What is the action? Delivery of 10 iPad. Who is the owner? Mr. B is the one delivering it. When is he supposed to do it? So and so date. And you keep it there so that as a project manager, you begin to find out to say how far we're expecting the laptop by so and so date and so time. How far are they coming? He said yes, they are coming. or a flag up and he said, no, it's not coming at that day, it's going to extend. So we have the action log that you log every action. As you have meetings, things will crop up. You write them down, you note them down, put who is the owner, when is the due date, so that you can follow up. Sometimes it can be a decision that has been made. Oh, we have all agreed that this will be done. You put it under decision. And when an action is completed, you take it from, yeah, it's supposed to be the action, push it to the completed. You know, these are completed actions. You're only dealing with the active actions. Are we clear with this so far? Can I have your response? Are we clear so far? Okay, some people are typing. Let me see. Okay, past time. Okay, so let's progress. We are getting to the end. Another thing we need to do as project managers is to write our project status report. So as I said before, it could be weekly, it could be in every 2 weeks, it could be monthly. So we just write our project report and just tell them the milestones, what we have achieved, how far we have gone, the percentage of the project, the cost, and just relate it to the sponsors or to the key stakeholders so that we'll know the progress of the projects. Thanks for your time. And if you have any question, we are open for questions. I hope this section is clear for us to manage any project. Is it clear to every one of us?
Yes, it is.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Any question now? Any questions so far?